Hello everybody. So in this video I'm going to start to dismantling the engine, partly, top side, all the gaskets and that sort of stuff. Intake will be removed to have a look where all the oil leaks are and get it all nice and tidy again. So if you're new to the project, this is my W201 V12 engine. It is in my W201 from 1984, 190, Mercedes 190. So if this is the first video you want to see more about it, have a look in the playlist. You can click on the right corner for you. There's my logo. You're going to go to my main page and you see more about the car. Or have a look on jamespeedshop.com. That's over here. So let's have a start. So intake is off. It was a little bit harder to get it off because I think they used silicone. I know for sure because you can see it here. There are silicone parts. Also a lot of, you can see it here. Normally that's not needed. Most of the time you see that if they reused the gaskets, you can also see it here. So that's not what I'm going to do. You just have to renew them and just put them in without any gaskets. So first I'm going to get a vacuum cleaner, suck all the stuff out of here so it will not drop in the intakes. So that's the next thing what I'm going to do. The first thing I had a look, you cannot really see it on the video, but all the intakes look pretty good. You can see the valves, they are a little bit shiny, so that's also good. I will try to have a light in it and show you more about it. So the next thing what also is nice about this is this is a 93 engine. So in the 93 engine this plate was a plastic plate. So they already changed it to aluminium plates. I thought they came in 1995. So that's pretty good because one plate of this will cost about 120 euros or something a piece. So that saves me another 250 euros. So this is like the same gasket setup that is in M104, the later engines. So here underneath here is another gasket. Then you put this one on, you screw it down with the inbus bolts, and then you put the intake on. So it's a pretty easy job to do. It's always pretty tight to get it underneath here. So I think it's already, people who do this job in the car, I think they do a pretty good job in a tight space. I can walk around the engine and do that, so that's pretty, it's not that easy to get it all out. So there's only one way to do it, and it's still pretty close. So I'm going to clean this up, then take out the middle plates, and so looks pretty good already. So let's have a look. So you can see what a mess it is in here. You can see there is the broken off tube. This is the normally on here. This is the crankcase breather. This is on there. You could see it was already dropped because it's all melted. There is the other pipe. There's this. I think I showed you in the video before. This one is then connected and bolted on that bolt over there that you see there. I'm going to order a new one for that. So I'm going to clean this all out. Also you can see there is cables in here from the knock sensors. There are 4 knock sensors in there. There will be coming back, one per each bank, so I think one on the front and one on the back. I don't know why they're melted, but I think they just stay in here for a very long time, so yeah. And you got this one leaking. Normally the engine would smoke a little bit and does not run that nicely, but I did not mention that. I drove this car with this engine about 500 kilometers or something. So yeah, it was still in pretty good condition. So yeah, so the next one I'm going to show, as you can see, I cleaned all these surfaces out. Normally the gasket is over here. I just show you also the parts that is on here. So how does this work? The gasket that I'll get out last is on here. Then the aluminium plate is going on here with these bolts, and 2 on this side and 2 on the ends. Then the O-rings are going into the top. So as I show you here. This is then over here. These O-rings are going on there, and then the intake will go on with those bolts, and they are all in the middle like this. I think they're slightly in the middle. This is the bolt that holds the plate on. This is the bolt for the intake. These. So in the older cars you got a plastic. So there are, I thought there were 3 different ones. In the beginning you got a plate, then it was moved to another plate, and after I thought 95 you got the aluminium one. So if you open the intake, if the black ones were in there, I'm also going to buy this one, but I have these ones, so it's a pretty good deal. I thought they were 120 euros or something. So, and they still had, I say that, I think they reused these ones. I don't know why, but there's all black gasket on it, and that is not needed. So I have to clean them all up. I don't know if they reused these ones. I don't know for sure. Everything will be renewed on my engine. I think it's better. So I'm going to clean out this, and then close them all up, and then clean them one by one with compressed air, because I saw there was still some little things on the valves. The valves are still pretty clean. I have to have a look if I can show you one. They are pretty clean. There's a little bit black stuff on it. That's because you got oil from the breather pipes going to the valves. But it looks pretty good. Nothing there yet. There's also, what I also mentioned, there is not a lot of how you say this? From casting. It's a pretty clean intake, I think, if you look to it. I think that's pretty good. So, I'm going to clean up this stuff, and then we go to the valve covers. Valve covers are off, both sides. And it looks pretty clean. Cam lobes look pretty good. Very nice and clean. Not really anything in there. So they're pretty clean, not much of oil left in it, of course, because it dropped down. You see some oil here. Chain looks pretty good. So next thing what I'm going to do is you can see what I meant by that I glued in the gasket. This is not necessary. Like the same, this because that's why it was not that easy to remove. You can see it's glued everywhere, so I'm going to clean that. It's not necessary. So it looks pretty good. I think I have to repair some threads over here. I thought this bolt, you can see that, it's already some kind of something in. It's not that good. I have to repair that. It was already loosened up. Also that one. So I think I'd have to repair something with a helicoil. That one, I think so too. Don't know for sure. But for the rest, it looks pretty good. Nice and clean. So I'm going to take now the front covers off. So this piece needs to come off. And then this plate is also going to be removed, and then we can have a look to this gasket piece. It's over here, so up till this point it will be removed. So let's have a look. So also the front distribution covers are off. So now we can have a look at the engine pretty good. And you can see this engine is pretty clean. Looks all very nice, I think. Chain, everything is pretty good. So where is the leakage? So oil is leaking between on this point and then drops over. So this is a famous point because this is a rubber gasket and you can hear the ticking is completely hardened out. So this one needs to be removed. You can see here it's completely hardened. So that will be removed. It starts leaking here. Same on this side. You can see there's still some flexible gasket. So where in the book is also here that you need to do a little bit of piece of gasket in here and it will stop it from leaking. But yeah, this guy's completely hardened out, so if a car is not driven for a long time you get this kind of leakages. What I'm very pleased of is that this inside of this engine is pretty clean. Sometimes you have some I say that scaling of the oil, the brown scaling in the end. This one is pretty clean, so it looks pretty good. So the only thing I did not remove yet is this piece. I'm also going to replace that because this is also rubber. So I will remove this also because this is have a look. It's placed in here, and this piece here. There's a rubber in. Also, I don't want to leak there. But you can see I have to clean it up pretty good. So the only thing I'm still maybe going to remove is the water pump. That's done here. I have to have a look if I'm going to do that or not. I think there's just one small gasket in between. So maybe I'm doing that. So the biggest point of the leakages of this engine where this gasket over here was leaking here. And on the other side also. That's why it's all that greasy over here. Also the leakage is from this gasket. I'm also going to change that one with a new one. And it was leaking over here at the valve cover. That's, I think the problem is because this connection and that connection, the thread is damaged, so I have to put a helicoil in it. So I'm going to do that because it was sealed pretty tight. And the reason for doing that is because I showed you earlier in the video that the crankcase beater was damaged, so I have to put a new one in. So I also got a question to check my, I also want to do that, but the chain stretch. So I looked it up. I could not find the chain stretch limit of this engine, but almost nobody ever changed a chain on this engine because there's almost no stretch. So this engine has done around 160,000 kilometers, so it was 101,000 miles or something. So I checked it how much clearance I have. So how do you do that? Normally you have, this is a check that normally is done also with a clock and a dial on the hydraulic lifters, and you can see when the valves are opening. I thought it was 33 degrees. Before top dead center or something, I want something like that, but I'm going to do it differently because there is a check that you do after you put the chain on. I think that's also the check, but I cannot find the limit of the chain stretch because you always look at timing chain stretch at crank degrees after 0. So what have I done? I have put the chain of the timing on a certain point that you got on every camshaft. You have a 4mm bit. You can put in between here. You can fit it in here. And it's completely flat. So you can see that over here. It's completely flat with the bottom. So I have that with all the, I have to put it out. Also on this side, here's also one. I can put it in. Completely flat. This side, there's also one. So, and on the last one, also here, I can put I use a 4mm drill bit. It can go in easy. So that normally if you got a new chain, then your crank dial is at 0 degrees. So mine, I don't know if you can see that. Mine is just after 0, so it's about 2.5 degrees after 0. So my change stretch is about 2 degrees. So I talked to some guys I know that's very familiar with Mercedes, and the guy said to me 2 degrees is nothing. That's like perfect. So he says to me that normally he recommends changing the chain when it's about 12 to 13 degrees stretch in it. So when those engines are still running, he says, so I think that's pretty special if you got 13 degrees on a diesel or something. It runs a little bit rough, but it still runs. So he says 2 degrees is nothing. So I looked in Wiz and Asra in a manual, but I could not find the maximum allowable stretch on the chain. So if somebody can tell me that, which made it a little bit more handy with Wiz and Asra to find the maximum allowable degrees on the crank stretch for the chain, I really like to know it. So, but I'm pretty pleased with this engine. I think inside is very clean. I think I really like it that there is not that much of oil scaling in it. Sometimes if you use not the right kinds of oil or don't change it that much, you got a lot of scaling in it. So this shows me that this engine has regularly oil changes. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So the next thing what I'm going to do now is get some parts ordered, get a list ready for all the seals, also those seals, all the seals that I changed, new seals in here, new gaskets, everything. And also get a set for these M6 bolts. Look all the torque values. So if there are any questions about this video or how it looks or that sort of stuff, put the comments below the video, and I always try to answer everything. Also suggestions are also helpful always. Don't have a problem with people who just want to ask something. Just do that. So yeah. For the rest, looks pretty good. What I'm going to do with valve cover gaskets or valve covers and the intake, I'm thinking of taking the paint off. Just having bare aluminium. I maybe sand some casting roughnesses out of it. I have to have a look into that. Also with the injectors, I'm looking for new pintle caps. These caps, pintle caps. Have to have new ones. One was missing, I don't know where it is. I looked in the intake but it's not there, so I think it's already missing. So I'm going to renew these rubbers, new pintle cap on it, and just everything needs just to be cleaned. So for the rest it looks pretty good. Also you can see here why I want to remove the paint. If you can see here, the paint is all aluminium corrosion underneath. I just want to have a nice done. You can see here. I think the surface underneath is pretty clean, so I don't think I'm going to paint it again. I think it's pretty good. So, hope you liked this video about this very nice V12 engine. I think it looks like a pretty nice piece of engineering. All the bolts and all the stuff. It's just, I think it's a very beautiful engine. To display it like this is already pretty nice, I think. So, if there are any questions, just ask. You can have a look for the other videos on jamesspeedship.com. The link is over here. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you for the next video. Bye bye.